Welcome to another deep dive. And this time we're exploring something really fascinating, the Kibol programming language.
Oh, Kibol.
Yeah,
Have you heard of it?
I have heard of Kibol, yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's got this like really fascinating backstory and like some really unique features.
Yeah, I'm excited to dive into it.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you about it. And like one of the things I found really interesting is it's got this built-in monetary system.
Oh, wow.
Like you can get paid to code, you know?
That's pretty cool, yeah.
That's Kibol. And supposedly the creator says you can learn the basics in like an hour. So
Wow, so it's very accessible.
that's the idea.
Yeah, it sounds like it kind of reframes the whole idea of what programming is, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of it being this like super technical thing that only certain people can do, it's like opening it up to everyone.
It's definitely designed to be accessible to like everyone and not just like the seasoned, techies.
Right, right.
So Kibol was actually created in 2020 by a guy named Mihigo ER Anaja. Okay.
And he really wanted to create a language that was incredibly user-friendly, especially for beginners. So I think,
That makes sense.
yeah, he's really passionate about like, making tech less intimidating and more approachable for everybody.
Yeah, it seems like there's a big push for that just in technology in general right now, making things more user-friendly and less intimidating.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's really reflected in the language's use cases as well.
Oh, how so?
Well, you see it being used in like education a lot to introduce programming concepts.
Okay.
And then you also see it in like a variety of organizations to automate those like tedious, repetitive tasks.
Right, the things that nobody wants to do,
Exactly, yeah.
like data entry.
Yeah, like data entry, generating reports, like things that, businesses are always looking to streamline.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into like some of the features that make Kibol so like approachable.
Okay, I'm curious.
You've got commands like undika, which simply means display text. And then you've got hagarika, which prompts the user for input.
So really simple, straightforward commands.
Incredibly straightforward, yeah. And I think that's what's so cool about it. It's like,
Yeah.
it almost feels like you're having a conversation with your computer.
Right, like natural language almost.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got Rika, which is used to handle variables.
Okay.
So even if you're like brand new to coding, you can kind of grasp these concepts pretty quickly.
Yeah, they're not using like super technical jargon or anything like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and those simple building blocks are really just the start.
Oh, okay.
Kibol also has features like subroutines, including one called nuts subroutine, which like kind of expands what you can do with the language.
Okay, so it can get a little more complex.
Yeah, get a little more complex, so it's not just for,
Right.
super, super simple tasks.
Yeah, it's not just like a toy language or something.
Exactly. Exactly. You can actually get pretty complex with it. And there are even commands like Hanagura for clearing the screen
Oh,
and Kuramo to perform calculations. So you can build like interactive programs
that's
with
good.
it. So yeah,
So it's got some more power to it than it seems on the surface, maybe.
yeah, definitely. It's got some hidden depths.
Now, this all begs the question, who's actually using Keyball out in the real world?
Yeah, that's a good question.
We've talked about education and automation, but is there more to the story?
You're right. There is more to the story.
Okay.
You see Kibol being adopted in both like educational settings and also professional software development. So
Interesting.
it's being used to like teach programming fundamentals, but it's also being used to create everything from like small utilities to more complex applications. So it's really got that versatility, which I think is what makes it so interesting.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of bridging this gap that has existed in the programming world where you've got these really simple languages that aren't really good for real world stuff.
Right.
And then you've got these really complex languages that are really hard to learn.
Yeah.
It seems like Kibble is kind of sitting in the middle there.
Yeah. It's kind of finding that sweet spot. And it's
Yeah.
potentially leading to more people exploring the possibilities of like coding, regardless of their background.
Right.
So it's breaking down those barriers.
I like that.
Yeah. And speaking of breaking down barriers, let's talk about the man behind Kibol.
Okay. Yeah.
Mihigo ER Anaja. This guy's a prolific creator. I mean, he's written 9 books
Wow.
and over 200 computer programs.
That's amazing.
He's not just a programmer, he's also an author, a podcaster, and a YouTuber.
Wow. He does it all.
Yeah, he's really dedicated to sharing knowledge and empowering others.
Yeah, it seems like his work, especially with Ball, really embodies that philosophy of making technology accessible.
Yay.
It's not just about teaching people to code. It's about like giving them the tools to create
Yeah.
and to innovate and to even like potentially, generate income from their skills.
Yeah, exactly. And he really walks the walk. You can find his programs on platforms like GJ Shop and on his website. And he's even incorporated this really unique feature into Kibol, a built-in monetary system.
Oh, wow. So you really can get paid to code with Kibol.
Yeah, so it's
Amazing.
the sources we have don't go into a ton of detail about like exactly how it works.
Okay.
But it's designed to like reward developers within the Kibol ecosystem.
That's a really fascinating concept, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, what are the implications for the wider tech community?
Yeah.
If developers can earn while they learn and contribute to this ecosystem.
Yeah, are we talking about shifting like the economic model within like the programming world?
Right.
It makes you wonder like, okay, what are the mechanics of this system?
Yeah.
Is it based on some form of cryptocurrency? Are developers rewarded for like creating popular programs or maybe for contributing to like the development of the language itself?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, these are all like questions worth exploring. And unfortunately, like, the sources don't provide us with like concrete answers, but
Right.
we can speculate a bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we can definitely speculate.
Based on what we do know, and it seems likely that the system, incentivizes participation and collaboration within the Kibol community.
So instead of the sometimes cutthroat competition we see in tech, maybe Kibol is trying to foster a more supportive and collaborative environment. Where developers are encouraged to share knowledge and help each other succeed.
Exactly, yeah. Instead of like, hoarding their secrets and their knowledge, it's about like,
Right.
Sharing and growing together.
Yeah, I like that.
Which could lead to like a more vibrant and diverse tech community.
Definitely.
With people from all walks of life, like contributing to innovation and problem solving.
Right. It's not just like the same group of people over and over again.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So we've talked about Kibol's creator, his vision for accessible technology, and this like really intriguing built-in monetary system.
Yeah.
But what about the Kibol ecosystem itself?
Right. Good question.
Like what supports this community of developers and learners?
Yeah, because it's not just a language, right? It's like a whole community.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's there?
Well, there's dedicated software called Kibol Opener that lets you like run Kibol files.
Okay.
And then there are also like various online communities and even companies that are like popping up that are providing resources for learning Kibol, developing with it, and even helping people like distribute their creations.
Oh, wow. So there's a whole infrastructure building up around it.
Yeah, it's starting to feel like more than just a language.
Yeah.
It's like a movement.
It's like a whole ecosystem.
Yeah, and that kind of brings us to like a crucial question. Does Kibol have what it takes to make programming truly accessible to the masses?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, like can it?
Can it really democratize coding?
Yeah, can it really like break down those barriers and allow anyone to like,
yeah,
participate in this world?
That's awesome. That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can Kibol truly democratize coding?
Yeah.
It certainly got some key advantages working in its favor.
Like,
well, first and foremost, it's simplicity.
okay.
The language was designed with beginners in mind.
Right.
And we've seen how straightforward the basic commands are.
Yeah, and beyond just like the basic syntax, the whole ecosystem seems geared towards learning and support.
Yeah.
You mentioned like the Kibol Opener software,
right,
and the online communities.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's a real effort to create a welcoming space for newcomers.
Absolutely, and that's crucial.
Yeah.
Learning to code can be intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
And having a supportive community can make a world of difference.
For sure.
Plus, there's the potential economic incentive with the built-in monetary system.
Right.
That could be a game changer for people who might not have considered programming as a viable career path.
Especially if it allows people to earn while they learn.
Exactly.
That could open doors for people who might not have the time or resources for traditional education.
Exactly. It could be a real pathway to economic empowerment,
Yeah.
particularly in regions where access to education and job opportunities might be limited.
Right.
But of course, there are challenges too.
Like what?
Well, one potential concern is that Kibol's simplicity might also be its limitation.
Oh.
Some critics argue that a language this easy to learn might not be robust enough for complex real-world applications.
That's a valid point.
Yeah.
How would you address that concern?
I think it's still early to say for sure what Kibol's ultimate capabilities will be.
Okay.
The language is relatively new,
Right.
and it's constantly evolving.
Mm-hmm.
We've already seen how features like Nut's subroutine are expanding Kibol's functionality beyond the basics.
Right. And it's worth noting that even simple tools can be incredibly powerful in the right hands.
Yeah.
Think about what people have been able to achieve with, like, basic scripting languages.
Precisely. It's not always about having the most complex tools, but rather about how those tools are used.
Yeah.
And with Kibol, the focus seems to be on empowering people to use those tools effectively, regardless of their technical background.
So it's about lowering the barrier to entry.
Exactly.
Making coding less intimidating. And allowing more people to participate in the tech world.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the creator, Mihigo ER Anaja.
Yeah.
It's clear that he's passionate about making technology accessible and inclusive.
Yeah.
And his decision to draw inspiration from the Kinyarwanda language for Kibol is a testament to that.
That's such an interesting point.
Yeah.
It suggests a real commitment to bringing diverse perspectives into the world of technology. It's not just about Western ideas and approaches anymore.
Right, and by incorporating elements of his own cultural heritage.
Right.
Anaja is subtly challenging the notion that programming has to look and feel a certain way.
Yeah.
He's pushing boundaries and expanding our definition of what it means to be a programmer.
I like that a lot.
Yeah?
Now, we've talked a lot about the potential of Kibol.
We have.
But what about some concrete examples?
Yeah.
Are there any real-world use cases that demonstrate its capabilities?
Unfortunately, the sources we have don't dive deep into specific case studies. However, based on Kibol's emphasis on automation, it's reasonable to assume that it's being used by businesses and organizations to streamline various processes.
Right. We touched on tasks like data entry and report generation.
Yeah.
But what are some other areas where Kibol could be making a real difference?
Well, consider customer service interactions.
Okay.
Imagine a simple Kibol program that could handle basic inquiries,
Okay.
freeing up human agents to deal with more complex issues.
Yeah, so like a chatbot almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or what about inventory management?
Right.
A Kibol program could automate the tracking and ordering of supplies, reducing errors and saving businesses time and money.
Exactly. And as more people become familiar with Kibol, I think we'll see even more creative and innovative applications emerge.
Definitely.
The possibilities are really quite vast.
Yeah.
And I'm particularly excited about the potential impact on small businesses and entrepreneurs. Imagine being able to create your own custom software solution without needing to hire a team of expensive developers.
That's a key point.
Yeah.
Kibol could be a real game changer for small businesses.
Yeah.
Leveling the playing field and giving them access to the same powerful tools that were previously only available to large corporations.
And that kind of empowerment could have ripple effects throughout the economy.
Oh, for sure.
It could lead to new businesses being created, new jobs, and even new industries that we haven't even imagined yet.
Absolutely. And it all circles back to the core idea behind Kibol, making technology accessible and empowering people to use it to solve problems and create value.
Now, before we move on, I'd like to touch on another intriguing aspect of Kibol.
Okay.
We keep mentioning its ease of use.
Right.
But is there a risk that it becomes too simplified?
I see what you're saying.
Could there be a point where it limits the kind of sophisticated applications that developers can create?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it's a delicate balance. On the one hand, you want a language that's accessible and easy to learn.
Right.
But on the other hand, you don't want to sacrifice functionality and power.
So what's the solution?
Well, I think the key lies in the evolution of the language and the ecosystem around it.
Okay.
As the community grows and more developers start using Kibol, they're going to push the boundaries of what's possible.
They're going to find creative ways to work around limitations.
Exactly.
And discover new approaches to problem solving.
Exactly. And if the language developers are responsive to the needs of the community, they can incorporate those innovations and insights into future versions of Kibol.
So it's an iterative process, a constant back and forth between the creators and the users.
Right, precisely. And that's what makes this so fascinating to observe.
Yeah.
It's not just a static language.
Right.
It's a living, breathing ecosystem that's constantly adapting and evolving.
And you can really feel that energy when you delve into the Kibol community.
Right.
There's a real sense of excitement and possibility. It's like they're all on this journey together.
Yeah.
Exploring the potential of this new tool and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It's inspiring to see.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, what will the future hold for Kibol?
What do you think?
Will it become the go-to language for beginner programmers?
Right.
Will it break into the mainstream and be used by businesses of all sizes?
Or will it remain a niche language used by a dedicated community of enthusiasts?
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure. Kibol has sparked a conversation about the nature of programming and its role in society.
It's challenged our assumptions about who can code and what can be achieved with simple, accessible tools.
And that in itself is a significant accomplishment.
I agree. It's been a really fascinating deep dive, I think, into this world of Kibol.
Yeah.
We've explored its features, the creator's vision, and the potential impact this language could have.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the simplicity of its commands to the complexities of its built-in monetary system.
Right.
And we've discussed how Kibol is being used in education, software development, and automation.
Yeah, but what does this all mean for you, our listener?
Right.
Why should you care about Kibol?
Well, I think Kibol represents a shift in how we think about programming.
Okay.
It challenges the idea that coding is a skill only accessible to a select few.
It's about empowering anyone, regardless of background, to create with technology.
Exactly.
Imagine a world where more people can solve problems, automate tasks, build businesses, and even generate income through coding.
That's the potential Kibol holds.
Yeah.
And this empowerment could have a ripple effect impacting not just individuals, but communities and entire industries.
It's about unlocking creativity and problem solving on a larger scale.
Yeah.
Who knows what incredible solutions will emerge when more people have the tools and confidence to code.
And that's what makes Kibol so exciting. It's not just about the technology itself. It's about the human potential it unlocks.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with something to think about. Given its ease of use and features like the integrated monetary system, could Kibol be the language that demystifies programming for the masses?
That's the question.
Yeah, could it be the key to a future where coding is a widely accessible tool for empowerment and innovation?
It's certainly possible, and we encourage you to explore Kibol further.
Yeah, go check it out.
And see for yourself how this language might empower you to create, innovate, and make a difference.
The possibilities are vast, and the journey is just beginning.
That's a great way to put it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Kibol.